It has been 15 years since StarCraft 2 launched, and honestly, I still think that it has the best RTS campaign ever made. Hey folks, I'm Ash, and today I want to break down what makes it so special and why it's still worth playing all these years later.
Hell, it's about time.
The biggest problem most RTS campaigns face is getting players out of their base. Left unchecked, most of us will just sit tight, build up a giant death ball, and then steamroll all across the map. The usual solution to this is a timer, and while that does work, using it too often can make the gameplay feel very stressful. After all, players do need a bit of time to breathe. There is this mission early in the Terran campaign where you have to purge infested buildings during the daytime and then bunker up and defend against waves of zombies during the nighttime. It might sound fairly standard, but the design here is actually surprisingly clever. It starts you off with a couple of units and a very clear objective. Go out, explore, and clear infested buildings. Then when nightfall comes, you have to pull back, man the bunkers, and prepare for the siege. Since there isn't much you can do but watch the carnage, you naturally use this downtime to build up your base and recruit more units. By the time dawn comes, you're probably itching to push back out again, but this time around the cycle has a new twist. Scattered across the map are hidden infestors that only emerge at night, and taking them down gives permanent campaign upgrades. And suddenly, the night isn't just about survival, it is also about taking risks. Because of this, you are constantly engaged, you're fighting, you're building, you're always moving forward. The mission design pushes you to play the game in the most fun way possible without actually forcing you. Sure, you could stay and turtle up and build a massive army, but why would you? You've got these brand new Hellions to play around with, plenty of zombies to roast, and shiny upgrades just on the horizon. And this is not just one clever mission. This kind of thoughtful design runs throughout the entire campaign. And while not every mission is this active, there is always some reason to push out of your base and explore the world. Another thing that became very clear by the time I reached the Protoss campaign is just how unique and varied the missions are. Even when you're doing standard RTS stuff, aka building a base and attacking the enemy fortress, StarCraft 2 throws enough curveballs at you to make each mission feel distinct. A good example is a Terran mission where you're pushing through a Protoss base while a gigantic wall of fire obliterates everything behind you. It is a very classic base building mission with a timer, but it is elevated by the fact that Terran buildings can, well, elevate. You're not forced to abandon everything and rush headfirst into danger. Instead, you constantly migrate between different base locations, hunting for side objectives and clearing out pockets of Protoss defenders. And to help you with this, the mission gives you Banshees with the Cloak ability, letting you to soften up enemy fortifications before moving in with your ground forces. Because of this, a very simple build a base, recruit units, and attack the enemy setup becomes something far more exciting. Instead of just boring attack move, you're playing Metal Gear Banshee in the enemy base, trying to squeeze out a few more units before fleeing the supernova, and carefully choosing your route since you don't actually need to kill everyone. The firewall will quite happily do the cleanup for you. And then in your next mission, you might be playing cowboys and robbing heavily guarded trains, or ditching base building entirely to explore a ruined facility with very powerful hero units. There's always something new and different to look forward to, and it is this variety, this clever mission design that makes StarCraft 2's campaign such a joy to play and replay. But it's not just the mission variety. You also have tons of options in how you approach them. Beyond StarCraft 2's already hefty base roster, there's also a bunch of unique, campaign-exclusive units to help spice things up, plus upgrades that can very drastically change how units operate. You can turn zealots into melee blenders with AoE damage, make them support units with stuns, or turn them into tanks that can revive after dying. Needless to say, this is a very large and very impressive arsenal of toys to play around with. StarCraft 2 is also quite clever in how it introduces these options because you don't get a dozen units just dumped on you at once. Instead, each mission highlights a single unit and gives you all the time you need to learn their strengths and weaknesses. So by the time you're done, you'll know exactly how they fit into the roster, how to use them effectively, and whether you actually enjoy their playstyle or not. That last part is especially important because while StarCraft 2 encourages you to use each unit in their spotlight mission, you don't actually have to. Take the Zerg mission where you defend Kerrigan for example. The game gives you swarm hosts since their endless waves of locusts are great for stalling out enemies. But if you don't like their static nature or just think they look kinda icky, you can bounce around with roaches and hydras. Go full glass cannon with a swarm of mutalisks, or even build the world's largest wall of turrets. These are all perfectly viable options, even on the hardest difficulty. In fact, I'm fairly certain you could beat the entire game just using each faction's most basic unit, and maybe a couple of support tools. And that kind of flexibility is what makes the campaign so much fun. No matter how you swing it, it always feels like you can do things your own way. Another key layer of customization is the difficulty. StarCraft 2 caters both to players who want a relaxing, story-focused experience and to those, like me, who crave a brutal, punishing challenge. That second part is especially noteworthy because very few RTS campaigns manage to be genuinely difficult without relying on cheap tricks. In StarCraft 2, this is handled by making the AI smarter, more aggressive, and more efficient. On brutal difficulty, they'll send far more attack waves against you, contest every objective, and tech up very quickly to gain an edge over you. And most importantly, the AI will use better tactics and micro, so they'll actually make good use of spellcasters and specialists in order to really make you stumble. And that is why I love brutal difficulty so very much. It is tough enough to make you utilize every tool at your disposal, but not so hard that you're locked into one very specific strategy. Even in late game missions like All In, where the enemy never gives you a moment of peace, I still managed to win in different ways every time I replayed it. And it is that kind of challenging but fair difficulty that keeps a campaign feeling fresh. You need that pushback from the AI to make the strategy part of real-time strategy actually meaningful, and StarCraft 2 really does nail this. The thing that ties all of these distinct elements together and truly makes them shine is the presentation. That hard-to-define immersion that makes you care about the characters and the world. Even if you don't follow the story closely, everything feels subconsciously better when you're actually on board with whatever's happening. And StarCraft 2 does this really well. The characters are simple but entertaining, so even if you skip the optional dialogue, you'll always understand who they are and what drives them. It is not a complex narrative by any stretch, but those little details add up to create a very fascinating and honestly downright cool world. One you will very likely find yourself thinking about long after the credits have rolled. And I should know, I've been obsessed with StarCraft ever since I was a kid. Now, let me preempt some criticism. Yes, StarCraft 2's main storyline is kind of messy. It starts off very strongly with Wings of Liberty, but by Legacy of the Void it descends into cosmic threats and prophecies, mishandles fan-favorite characters, and mostly just fails to stick the landing. But the main plot is not everything. The side content and character beats are much better. Without the shackles of a galaxy-spanning threat, the writers are able to tell genuinely interesting tales about very weird characters. And to me, that is the best part. I could listen to Abathur ramble about nonsense for actual hours.
Make it great.
But not perfect?
Never perfect. Perfection goal that changes. never stops moving, can chase, cannot catch.
It is little details like that where StarCraft 2's personality really shines. And visually, the game still holds up. The units have a very colorful, cartoony look with plenty of detail. So unless you are specifically hunting for flaws, you might not even realize it's 15 years old. And because RTS is usually viewed from a distance, these colorful designs and clear silhouettes matter far more than any fancy textures. Because of this, I do believe that StarCraft 2 has a timeless look that will very likely still hold up even another 15 years in the future. And in a genre that often sacrifices detail for scale, it is genuinely refreshing to play a game that cares about the small stuff. And that is why, even 15 years later, I keep coming back to StarCraft 2. Not because of any one feature or any one mission, but because every piece, its variety, its challenge, its presentation, combines together into something that is honestly just unforgettable. The story might start to wobble towards the end, but the core experience never does. And in a world where RTS campaigns often feel like extended tutorials for the multiplayer, StarCraft 2 shows just how much potential the genre has and how good a strategy campaign can truly be. So whether you're diving in for the first time or returning after many years like I have, StarCraft 2's campaign is still worth the journey. I have spent weeks replaying it for this video, and I am already planning to give it another try. Maybe with a couple of self-imposed challenges this time around. And that right there is the mark of something truly special. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like the video, subscribe, hit the stupid bell, pet your favorite zealots, and do whatever other nonsense you gotta do these days. Thank you for sticking to the very end, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye!